everybody, it's Lisa Laburningham and I am so glad that you're here. Today we're going to be transforming these thrifted and trash to treasure items into these updated and classic pieces that will fit in perfectly with my existing decor. This urn caught my eye a few months back at a local thrift store and I really loved the shape of it, and there's some really pretty detailing along the top rim. It also came with some plastic fruit, which my daughter snatched up and took to her kitchen upstairs. So for $3.99, I got a beautiful urn plus some fruit. Now it's just been sitting upstairs and I've been thinking what I can do to really bring it up to its potential, because it did have some chips on the inside bowl and some discoloration. So I knew I was going to have to repaint it, but I also wanted to beef up the base. So the way that I did that was with some terracotta pots that I got from Michael's. I got two different sizes so that I could place one on top of the other. To adhere them together, I got some E6000 and I flipped the larger size saucer over first, and I placed the E6000 along the rim, just enough so that it would adhere, but not too much that it would seep out the sides. And then I placed the smaller one on top. Then I took my urn and I flipped it over and I put some more E6000 along the rim of the base, and then I flipped it back over and placed it on top of the terracotta saucers. Now I really liked the white color of the urn, so I wanted to keep it white, but it needed to be repainted because of all the chipping and the discoloration. So I decided to paint it in some white craft paint. I got a sponge brush and my paint, and I began at the bottom of the base with the terracotta, and I painted it until it was fully coated. And then I moved on to the urn and also gave it a coat of paint. This coat covered up all of the scuffs and the discolorations, as well as made sure that the whites on both pieces matched perfectly. Once my base coat of paint was done, I decided that I wanted to do something special to it. So the paint technique that I used was a stippling effect, because I wanted my urn to look like concrete or stone, and so this is going to give me that look. So I got my sponge brush and I dipped it slightly into the paint, and then I stippled it all along the base of the urn. And I continued to do that until it was completely covered in this effect. And then I decided to do the entire thing. So I went up the base into the bowl and I stippled the whole entire piece. You would never know that these were separate pieces that had been glued together. It looks like it was always supposed to be this way. I also love the stippling effect that we got with the paint. It really does make it look like it's stone. And I think that it looks so luxurious and so elegant. It's going to be a perfect piece that's going to fit in with my home decor. Today I'm participating in the Girls Can Use Power Tools YouTube Hop that is hosted by Natalie Callahan from Design to the Nines. Natalie is so talented. She is a power tool aficionado. She does some awesome DIYs. I will leave a link to Natalie's channel in the description box below, as well as a link to the next YouTube Hop. The ladies that are participating in this collaboration are fantastic. They are all so creative and they have so many awesome ideas. I know that you will be able to find some great DIYs on their channel, so I would highly suggest going and checking them out. So just follow the loop and then follow the loop, click on those links and check out all of the videos that those creators are coming up with. When we moved into this house a few years ago, there were a few pieces left over from the previous owners, one of which was this clock. I really liked the face of the clock and the shape of the clock. However, the color was just not my style, so it's just been sitting in a closet. I want to give it a makeover so it becomes part of our everyday decor, because I really do think it has a lot of potential. So the way that I'm going to start off by giving this thing a refresh is by adding some additional legs to the bottom. Now, the little pieces that they have right now, they were just a little small, and I really wanted to make it a little more substantial. And so I decided to do that by using some wooden doll heads. What? Yeah, some wooden doll heads that I got at Michael's. And they came in a package, this package right here, and they had some access hole points on one side of the wooden doll head, but I needed it to go all the way through. So in comes my power tool. I'm using a drill and I'm going to drill a hole through the entirety of the wooden doll head. So I got my drill and I continued to drill that hole all the way through until the access hole point was completely through the doll head. Now that I have my drilled circles, I can add them to the base of my clock. The way I'm going to do that is with some finishing nails. The reason why I'm using finishing nails is because they have a really small head and it will be able to be inset right into the leg. That way I don't have a nail head that can be poking out of the bottom of the leg that could potentially scratch up the mantle or table or whatever it's sitting on. So the finishing nails are going to work out really well. I got a hammer and I just hammered those finishing nails through the access hole point directly into the leg that was already on the bottom of my clock. Now to hold everything in place, I did put my clock into a box, and it was a great way to hold the clock while I was hammering everything together. Now that the legs are on, it's time to freshen up the color, and we're going to do it with some Serenity Blue spray paint. I am always looking for a little more serenity in my life, so hopefully the spray paint will give it to me. So I'm going to take it outside and I'm going to spray paint it. Before I spray paint, I'm going to cover the face in some blue painter's tape so it's protected. Then I began to spray the paint all over the clock. I made sure that it was saturated on the sides, the front, underneath, the legs. I wanted to make sure that everything was coated really, really well. And then I let it dry for about 4 hours. I wanted to embellish the bottom of my clock, and so I decided to use some of these decorative nail head trims that I got from Michael's. It comes in a package of 48. And so what I did was I began at either end of my clock. I hammered in one of these pieces into each end and then one directly into the center. Then I got out a measuring tape and I measured the base and then marked out evenly spaced points so each one of my nail heads were hammered in the correct location. By changing the color, adding these extra decorative elements, and by creating larger legs, we took this clock from hiding in a closet to center stage. If this is the first time visiting my channel, welcome. I'm Lisa. I do DIYs and home decor on my channel. I post weekly videos. I would love to have you join me, so please subscribe. These decorative balls were also leftovers from the previous owners. However, they were, again, not my specific style or type, so they too have been hiding in the closet. To transform these, I'm going to use 3 different materials. The first one is a cream colored twine that I got at Michael's. I'm going to start off by making a tight coil with my twine, and then I'm going to get some hot glue, and I'm going to hot glue that little coil right to the top center of the ball. And then I'm going to begin wrapping the twine around the ball. I'm going to keep wrapping and hot gluing, and I'm going to make sure that the lines are really close together. I butted them up as close as I could to the twine above. That way there wasn't any part of the underlying ball that was showing through. Once I got to the end, I cut the twine and coiled it together right into the hot glue. The next ball is going to get some twine as well. This is cream with a little bit of gold in it, and I got it from Target. I'm going to repeat the process the exact same way as I did on the first ball. I'm going to make a little coil, hot glue it to the top, and then just wrap the entire thing in the twine. Now, I will say that this took a long time to do because my twine was so thin, like I feel like I was wrapping forever. So if you want to do a quicker process of twine, I would get a thicker gauge twine or some rope, and it would go a lot quicker. Otherwise, just get a movie and start coiling away. My third option is to cover it in moss. I got this reindeer moss at the Dollar Tree. I took my hot glue gun and I added little segments of hot glue to the ball, and then I pressed the moss right into that hot glue. I continued to hot glue and add the moss until the entire ball was finished. And then I just kind of pressed it together like this, just to make sure that it was all adhered really well and it was tightly packed into a ball. Now, if you are looking for an easy project, this one is for you. It took me like 5 minutes and I really like the way that it looked. I really like the way that all of the balls looked. Even though the other ones took a little bit more time, the finished product was definitely worth the time and effort. I have taken 3 different fine-ish looking pieces of decor and transformed them into pieces that I want to display. And they were so easy to refresh to, by simply adding some extra legs, some embellishments, and changing the color on a clock, by adding a special paint technique and an extended base to my urn, and by adding some easy finishes to my decorative balls. I have some pieces that in my mind are timeless pieces that I will be able to use all year long. I hope you got some inspiration so that you can find some pieces and redo them, make them over, and make them into something that you want to use. Thank you so much for watching.